All right. So, everyone, this is about really stepping into your intuition, and is Intro to Psychic Mediumship right for you? Intro to Psychic Mediumship, I know a lot of people get hesitant about it because they think, I don't want to be a psychic medium. Most of the people who take that class don't. What it does is it helps you really see your life from a different perspective, which is where healing comes from. When you can start seeing that you are supported from the other side, and you can start connecting the dots about why did this happen? And I also always tell you, when you roll into my class or anyone else's, please only take what resonates with you. I do not want to be a cult leader. I do not want people to follow me around worshiping every word I say and thinking that everything I say is right for them. Use discernment and take what resonates. We're not going to believe all the same thing, and you're not going to believe all the same thing from other people. And so, also, what I do is when I'm teaching, I might teach a concept on clairsentience or how to get information from spirit clairsentiently, but I will show you several different ways because everyone here is different, and you have to find what works for you. Now, I'm going to show real quick. So, it's noon, so now we'll get to the down and dirty of it. Whenever you come into a class, the first thing we do, and I will tell you, there probably only be this many people in the class. My classes are around 8 to 10 people. So it's a small group and we get to know each other. Now, I made a mistake one time. I did it one time where I did a class and I did not set an intention for the class, right? I just was manifesting, putting it out there, bring me the students. That was my bad. Now I manifest that people that are like-minded and walk in love and light will come to my classes. Are my classes now smaller? Yes. Do I care? No. Because the one time I did not do that, I did have a really big class of like 20, 21 people. And I was like, some of the things these people were saying just did not fit with my belief system. Because I feel like the biggest healing power is love and light. Hold on, someone just. Hi, Leisha. I was like, oh, someone's in the chat. Let me check it. Okay. So I'm going to give you a concept of when you roll into the intro to psychic mediumship, what it looks like. First of all, be less people than this. We introduce ourselves because we really are creating an environment where we trust each other and where you can grow. Then there will be some kind of, let's see, this is actually, if you start, you will see this exact PowerPoint the first night. I'm not going to roll through it all, but this is, can y'all see that? I feel like it didn't share right. Can y'all see the screen that I just shared?
No,
No,
there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's
I
thinking.
don't see anything either.
Let's try it again. Share. I want to share. Now it looks like it did right.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Technology, love it. All right, I gotta move you all around. Y'all get used to hear me say that too. Wait a minute, I have to have you on my big screen. I have to see your faces. Let me make you bigger. Y'all get used to hearing me say that. So this now what I do with psychic intro to psychic mediumship, and I learned this lesson from teaching at the collegiate level. Sometimes it's hard to break things down in bite-sized pieces, and people take it into account unless they understand the big picture. So we start off the first night with the big picture. This is how you get information from spirit. I do a brief overview. It's communication with the spirit realm. We talk about the things it takes. You set your intention, the levels of the energy, the language of spirit. Now, mind you, when we're actually in class, I go really slow and we break this down. I'm doing a high level because we're going to do something fun after I get through with this. Then we talk about setting an intention. Your intention is right for you. This is my intention. My intention is to serve with integrity, compassion, and love, connecting with the highest guidance for the greatest good of all, blah, blah, blah. Because we work a lot on, in my class, also about getting rid of your ego. Some of the worst things I've seen happen as a medium when other people come to me and it has been clear a medium was reading through their ego. Do they intentionally hurt people? Probably not. Well, I have so many stories. Most recent one was I had a lady pop up. I bring up her husband. I'm telling her, I give it the evidence, and we walk through evidence. A medium, great reading is evidence and a message, and you wrap it up. So we'd gotten through the evidence, proved who it was, and I was on to the message, and we were talking about how much he loved her. She broke down in boohoo tears, was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad he still loves you." Well, then I go into, "Well, of course he still loves you, honey. He just transitioned to the other side." Da, da, da. Well, that other medium, and the second I hear that, I'm like, "Oh Lord, what did my people do?" Well, some of my people she'd met with, and she met with this person twice, 6 months apart, which is appropriate. We do talk about how much people can meet with you. You don't want them to be reliant on you. So this person, she'd met with this one person. The second time she met, the person had told her her husband wanted her to stop bothering her and to move on with her life. And there were some other words in there. I'm sorry, what? I promise you, your spirits do not say that. Now, can you imagine this lady who's still giving her husband hearing from a medium who she trusts? Her husband doesn't want her around anymore. He doesn't want her talking to him. He wants her to go away, move on with his life. Can you imagine the heartbreaking situation that put that person in? So we talk about intention. We talk about it's right there for the greatest good of all. Yeah. And if you ever hear a medium say, "Well, I don't have an ego," run in the other direction. We all have an ego. It's learning to work with it, learning to recognize when it has reared its head, and you're like, okay. And I will do this all the time. I did it this morning with a friend of mine. She asked me a question and she said, "Christy," I said, "Wait a minute. I'm trying to decide. I'm trying to make sure I'm not in my ego," because I had skin in the game. When you're asking, answering a question for a friend or yourself, you have skin in the game. You want the right answer. So really have to pay attention. Okay, so you set your intention. This is something you see a lot in my class. I use this several times. This is levels of energy. Where are we reading? Psychic. If you've ever watched me go live and I'm reading cards or I'm asking psychic questions, that's this bottom level right here. Turn your radio dial up a notch. Past relatives. You'll see me do that a lot, if you will. Oh, let me let these people in. I'm yakking and not paying attention. Okay, so then you turn your dial up if you want to talk to past relatives. You go up another notch if you want to talk to your guides. You go up another notch if you want to talk to, your ascended masters, and then you have your angels. Now, something I don't have on here because it would just be too confusing and that would be a completely different class, is angels are broken up into 9 choirs. So within this angelic realm here, where I have angels, there's actually 9 levels of angels. I just don't have it on this chart because that'd be too confusing. That's just the basics of it. We work down here. Mostly we work down here. Now I see a couple of people in here that are probably just hanging out, which I love the people that are just hanging out because they've already taken classes from me and they've been mentored and all the things, and they certainly don't need intro to mediumship class. But they can attest you never know what is going to happen in one of my classes. Do I start out with one of these? Yep. Do we follow it? We try. Sometimes spirit has other ideas, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes there will be a spirit that is on my face right here, just not leaving me alone. And they'll be like, "Okay, well, we are not going to do this. We are going to practice reading spirits because I know someone in my class has to have a message from this spirit." I see D smirking. She's one of the ones. She's seen that happen. She has seen that happen more than once. But I'm okay with that. I am a messenger for spirit even when I'm teaching classes. Now, we talked about the levels of energy. Now we're going to talk about the language of spirit. Once you learn the language of spirit, all you do is take that language and pop it into whatever dial, whatever level you want to read. So those are the 2 basic components. Learn the language, turn your radio dial, right? Basic languages are clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairalliance. There's some other ones, clairgustance. I mean, there's some other ones, but these are the main ones. These are the ones we typically work with, unless one of the other ones rear its head, which I'm also, again, fine with. And then in the beginning of the class, we really decide, what is your strongest clair because you always want to lean into that one. I have seen people get very frustrated, and I get it because we always want what we're not good at. But let's just say you're crazy clairsentience. I have seen people, and I've even practiced it in my classes. I will say, okay, you know what? We're talking about clairsentience tonight. I want a spirit to step forward, and we are going to give a complete read on that just shocked me. There's someone named Christy coming in, and their name is spelled just like mine. That's unusual. So that shocked me a little bit. I was like, why am I joining my own? I'm already here. So Christy shocked me a little bit. Okay. So then I have seen people give beautiful readings, and I will practice that. So that's something that will happen. Let's just say we're talking about clairsentience for a night or clairvoyance, whatever it is. And I will say, okay, I want a spirit to step forward, and we are going to give a complete reading on clairsentience. And I will ask that spirit to only use that one clair to let y'all know it's possible. Okay, D, I'm so glad you're here. Hold on, trust yourself. We're not going to go through the rest of this. This is something that this is more of things we talk about, how you continue to work on yourself and how you stay out of your own way. That is something else we talk about. How do you stay out of your own way? I cannot imagine that one medium said that to that lady because she was intentionally trying to hurt her. I refuse to believe that. What I do believe is that she did not have enough experience and had not been trained. And also, this is what the lady said, the client who was on there. Apparently, she had come to me immediately after her husband died, and I'd given her a beautiful reading. Great. So now, why did she go to someone else? Does anyone want to guess why she went to someone else in between?
Just was craving for another reading, obsessive, just wanted to hear from another source.
That the person was cheaper.
Oh, cheaper.
Which I admit, I am not the cheapest medium out there. If you want to come to me for a mediumship reading, I own it. I am not the cheapest. I am also certainly not the most expensive. Almost every one of my friends charge more. But the girl was young and she was cheaper. So probably she hadn't had the experience and the education, and so just didn't bring it. Okay, D, I want to put you on the spot. D did not know I was going to do this to her, but can you unmute yourself, honey? Thank you. She loves it when I do this to her. Okay, so now D is one of those. I have to tell the sweet story about D because she came to one of my classes. So if you come to my class, one of my classes, Intro to Mediumship, what are you here to do? You're learn to read psychic energy and mediumship energy, right? That's what we're here to do. D was not in one of my first classes. I had been teaching for quite some time, but this is where the epiphany hit me. D popped onto the screen. She was one of the first ones in the class at night, and she said, I did it. I was like, well, what'd you do? I thought she'd done something like, jumped out a plane or something. I don't know. She said, I read a spirit. And in that moment, I'm trying to not show on my face what I'm thinking because I'm thinking, well, what the hell? Of course you read a spirit. You're in class, intro to mediumship. Did you think you're not going to read a spirit? You can take it from here, Dee.
It was quite a shock, and it still is actually. It's the teaching that Christy does is phenomenal because it takes a little bit for me to catch on to things, and she did a marvelous job. And I actually read a spirit, and it just shocked the crap out of me.
She has read many spirits, and she's still shocked over it.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you get goosebumps when you know you're right. That's the main thing. You go,
Yes.
am I really doing this? Am I really bringing this spirit up? And then you start getting goosebumps. It really helps.
And Dee's strongest clair is clairvoyance. And I just know
Yeah, I
that.
see them as if they're walked in the door, and I can
Yeah.
give pretty descriptions.
So now I will tell you right now, if you're on here, you probably think I'm a pretty good psychic medium. And I admit, even in my own circles, I'm known as a damn good psychic medium. Dee's clairvoyance is probably better than mine.
Oh, wow.
Her ability to see in her head is probably better than mine.
Hmm.
Everyone has a way to maneuver and contact spirit. What we do is find your way and make it work for you. Something else we do that is a lot of fun in our classes is when we start, we don't just start and roll into, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're learning tonight. As I asked, did anything funny happen? And this is where we get off track. Sometimes I try to reel it in. Sometimes we get so off track, I have to reel it in. It's like, okay, we really have to get back to what we're here for. Because I will ask, what happened? So this is a classic example of what will happen. Someone was, and this is not someone who was in one of my classes, someone I mentor one-on-one, but she had come to me and I had given her an assignment to write down everything weird that had happened that she thought she was really going crazy over, right? She had a list. And this is a professional person who has a corporate job. And one of them was, what was the funny one? I was trying not to say it. The only one that is, okay. So I was trying, and I'll let Spirit do this because I was trying to get to one that I knew that wasn't as hardcore as the one I'm about to tell you, because the one I'm about to tell you, it's not fun. But this person was in the gym and they just happened to glance over and instantly they thought something negative about that person that was working out a couple of ways down, right? And how many of you have ever thought something, you'll look at someone, you think something negative, and then you start chiding yourself? Like, stop, that's mean. Why are you thinking that? Stop being mean. Oh my goodness, Christy. You're supposed to be love and light, and here you're. Have you ever thought you might be reading that person that Spirit dropped information in? Because all she told me was, she said, I looked and there was a couple, and I just had this negative thought. So now what I do is I tapped into her, found that energy cord. I was like, oh, yeah. And I told her what I saw from that person. It was the same thing she had seen. So what kind of validation is that for her? And for really anyone walking this planet? So those are the kind of side conversations that we really start learning how the intricacies is not just about psychic mediumship, which yes, is the core of it, but it's about the intricacies of how all of our energy starts weaving together. I was talking to someone else the other day, and I always talk to people what their superpower is, right? Everyone has a superpower. You're born with it. So I was telling someone the other day instantly, I named off their superpower. I said, don't feel guilty over that. It's like, how do you know I felt guilty? Spirit just told me. This person, and so then instantly, without her telling me, I said, your siblings had superpowers also. So this person had come from a family, not good family, and they had excelled where the siblings haven't, right? I bet every single person on here, because you're here, you're very empathetic, you're very caring, which means sometimes when you excel and you see other people not excel, you can feel guilty because of why you excelled. It's your superpower. Everyone has a superpower. So I named off this person's sibling superpowers, and I said, you just took yours to a higher octave. There's free will. You can take your superpower and use it for ill, or you can use it for a higher octave. So we really want to talk about using it for a higher octave. Okay, so now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to ask a spirit to step up because we're going to play. Very good. The spirit said you didn't tell them. So we always talk about what spirit tells you, how they give it to you says so much. It's not just about what they give you, it's how they give it to you. The fact that this person just called me out on not telling y'all what I was doing when that's what you're here for. You're not just here to watch me do a reading. You're here for to show, okay, how does this work? We talk about, and so he was teasing me. It was a male. He's like, you didn't tell them. You're right, I didn't. So we develop a ritual. Mine is different. I tell everyone, and it's a whole thing on how you develop a ritual before you read. Mine is, some of you already know it, or you'll recognize it if you've watched me read. That's it. But now in that couple of seconds, I spun my chakras. I grounded down into the ground. I expanded my aura and hit the spirit world. Now, Can I have always done it that fast? Absolutely not. It used to be like a whole dramatic, let me sit here for 5 minutes and stress about going into this reading because I just know no spirit is going to show up. I'm going to look stupid. I'm going to be wrong, blah, 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 blah. That's what it used to be. So when y'all come to me saying, I can't do, I get it. Also, I do teach you sometimes your no's, when you are reading someone and you get a no, it can be your greatest benefit. And I show you how to get around those no's. Okay, very good. So I did that without y'all knowing it, and this gentleman said you didn't tell them. So now I told them. Are we happy now? He's happy now. Okay, you see me looking to the left because that's where my spirits come. Did they come to everyone on the left? Nope. But you get to learn you. That is so important. I'm going to tell you another quick story, and then we're going to get to this gentleman. This is how confident I am and where my spirits come to me. Spirits come to me all in my office here. This is where they line up. And if I'm doing a group event, they still come in on my left. So they don't line up in my office. They always line up on my left. I was reading someone popping on my screen. I was describing this person, and my client said, I don't know who that is, but I think it's my guide. I'm pretty sure it's my guide. And in my head, I'm like, this is not a guide because he's on my left. That's a dead person, not a guide. And so I described, and she said, no, that is definitely my guide. So then, it's not someone I know real well. So it's like, why do we think it's a guide? She said, gotta love this. Well, that other medium I went to said it was a guide. Okay. So now what happened is that other medium hit that no, right? I've described this person, and my client is saying, I don't know them. I'm not connected to them. So at that point, you can get nervous. What are you going to do? You're not going to get into your ego, which is what the other medium did, got into their ego and said, oh, well, it's a guide, because how's the client going to prove you wrong? And I said, well, bear with me for a moment. Can we go down this path for just a moment? And I said, because this guy is coming to me where my dead people come. So then I asked the spirit, how do you know them? He showed me a high school. I said, you went to high school with this person. And I said, there was something else. I can't remember the other piece of information. There was another piece of information, and then she knew it was her best friend's boyfriend. Her best friend had dated this guy all through high school, and a couple of years into college, they had broken up, and then he had died later. That was mind-blowing to her. Those no's, she told me no. She didn't know who I had. I show you how to turn those no's into mind-blowing moments instead of making them stressed. Okay, dude, who are you? Okay, so this gentleman is stepping up. He is letting me know he is tall. How do I know that? I got it clairsentiently. I felt it. How can you feel tall? You can. His energy feels tall. Now, clairvoyantly, he's being funny. So I want to tell y'all that his personality was very humorous, kind of that snarky kind of humor, because he's doing something that I will do frequently in classes, is I will have a spirit use every one of my clairs to show you how we use them. Okay, so now he's used clairsentiently. I felt tall. Then he clairvoyantly showed me him dressed in he has dress pants on, and he has a button-up shirt, and he is wearing a belt. So we also work with each person to let them know what that means. Because I know, I have seen this gentleman dressed like that. I know just because of how I have read for so long and the symbols that Spirit uses with me, it means that he had an office job. He dressed nicely. He had an office job. He's not in a suit, so it wasn't that kind of an office job. He is also showing me, I don't normally want to do this. So when you want to do something and you're reading someone, that's a little bit of, I don't want to scare y'all because it doesn't happen in the beginning. I allow spirits to do this. It's a little bit of him taking over my body. It's merging with the spirit. I don't have y'all do that in the beginning, so I don't want anyone to worry. But all of a sudden, I wanted to pick my teeth. I never want to pick my teeth in public, ever. But he is showing me that he would. He'd take a toothpick, pick his teeth, kind of chew on it. So that's a memory you would have with him. Also, all of a sudden, I got a sense he just used my clairalliance, which is clear smell. I smelled an old man's cologne. I think it's Old Spice, but don't hold me to that. Now, I know when I smell an old man's cologne that there's a couple of, okay, he's just verifying. He's using both of the reasons why. For one thing, someone has smelled him. Y'all haven't recognized it. Whoever he belongs to has not recognized the fact that they have smelled him, but he has y'all walked into a room and smelt something and blew it. You looked around, oh, it's nothing, and then didn't even pay attention to it. It's called clairalliance. Also, I know that he always had the same cologne that he wore all the time. Oh man, cologne. Like I said, I'm smelling Old Spice. It could be something like Aramis or something. He served in the military. How do I know that? Because he just showed me a World War II scene. Spirits can show me they served in the military in different ways. He actually showed me a battle scene. He didn't talk about it though, because how do I know? I wanted information. Spirit, I'm nosy. I'm a nosy medium, and that's how you get so much information. I wanted to know about this battle scene. Where were you? What happened? Did you lose any friends? Instantly, I'm throwing all these questions at him. It was crickets. Tells me he didn't talk about it when he came back from the war. He didn't talk about it. I'm actually seeing now he's showing me people going through some of his memorabilia after he passed and them talking about it. He showed me that clairvoyantly, at the same time, clairsentiently. I feel that they are, why didn't he ever talk about this? Why didn't he ever talk about this? So, does this gentleman sound familiar to anyone? I'm going to recap real quick because I did have it broken up with me explaining it. This gentleman served in the military. He's showing me a battle scene. He is showing me that he did not talk about it. I'm feeling pretty good. It was World War II because as now that he has been claimed, he's given me more detail. It looks like he was in France during the war. He is showing me he was a tall gentleman. He had that classic, and I'm sorry, this is no judgment. He had that classic old man like losing my hair here, but had some on the sides. He's also showing me that he was pretty heavy set towards the end of his life, and he had circulation problems. How do I know that? Because he's making my blood feel sludgy. He's also showing me he had to have something to help him. Okay, so clairvoyantly, I just felt the need to grab a cane or something, and I'm doing this. So towards the end of his life, he had a problem walking. Also, there's Lawrence Welk on the TV. You remember that show?
Christy, you have two people, Alicia and Sarah.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Dee. Good thing she's here. For anyone who ever watches me on TikTok or anything, Dee is my moderator a lot. So, let's see. It might be my grandpa, but not office job. Was a cop and had to dress and button up. Yes, pops. Okay, so now this is absolutely perfect. I want Alicia to get on screen and I want Sarah to get on screen. I'm going to show you what we do. Sarah, can you get yourself on screen?
Hi.
Oh, there she is. Okay, so now this is perfect. What do you do when you have two people claiming the spirit? You go to the spirit and you say, hey, dude, two people are claiming you. Show me something definitive. First thing, as I'm even saying that, I'm just feeling him hitting a watch. This gentleman, time was very important to him. And it's very clear. He's showing me a Timex. I don't know if it was actually a Timex, but that is my sign for it wasn't expensive watches. It was watches that it was just important for him to be on time. If you are on time, you're late, is what he is saying. That's very much a military mentality. Someone has this watch. He just took it off and gave it to me. That's my sign for someone has his watch. Okay, Alicia and Sarah, do either one of you know about your people's watches? Do y'all have one of the watches?
Time was really important to Pops. I don't really remember watches, but
Okay,
he was very punctual and was mad if you weren't at least 5 to 10 minutes early.
very good. So he gave me verbiage that she can identify with, right? I
Mhm.
specifically said if you're on time, you're late. You need to be early. So he gave me verbiage. So that's what you do. You just go back to the spirit. Okay, so now I'm going to hold Sarah for just a moment. Hold that. I'm going to put your person here. Alicia, did who was it to you? Your grandfather. Did he have a breathing problem towards the end of his life?
Yeah, he did. He had lung cancer.
Okay, very
And watches for him is he had a lot of like the train watches. Like what are those ones
yeah,
called?
yeah. The
He had a
stopwatches.
yeah, like the ones that like the conductors
Okay.
wore and stuff like that.
Okay,
He
so
had a
Alicia,
bunch of those.
I'm gonna hold you for just a second. Okay, so now what happened here? Now I'm gonna tell y'all a trade secret. Yeah, ready? Anytime y'all see me read, I can have a couple of spirits here. If you've ever seen me read on TikTok, if you've ever seen me read in public, if it's not one-on-one, you will see me do this. I will hit the spirit, and even if I'm only with one person, like even if Sarah was the only one I was with, I would have said, okay, he's also showing me da 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 da. He was very specific. He gave me the terminology so I knew I was with Sarah, right? Whenever you're describing a spirit in a public event, there can be several that fit, especially, I mean, look at y'all. Y'all are not very diverse right here, right? So there's going to be a lot of the grandfathers and grandmothers that fit. We narrowed it down. And then all I did whenever Sarah claimed Pops, I was like, okay, good. In my head, I complimented him. I said, good job, Pops. That was good. Okay, now can I have Grandpa? And then Grandpa stepped from around him. I knew if it was so specific and the information was coming through and two of y'all also, okay, very good. The spirit was guiding me. He said, I also just knew. I just knew. You're right. I did. I just knew because I've done it for a long time. I knew I had more than one spirit. I just wanted them to separate. Okay, so now that is identification, right? So we work through how you get a clear message from spirit. You have identification. Now we're going to give a message. Sarah, unmute yourself. We're going to start with you real quick. I just had to check the time. Sarah, your grandfather is stepping up. This is your grandfather, correct?
It's actually my estranged husband's grandfather, but he
Very
was
good.
closer to me than my own.
Very good. And they will come through on that vibration. I knew there was something off about the energy. That's the reason I was like, your grandfather. Wait a minute. This is your grandfather, right? There was just something like I knew it was his grandfather vibration, but was like, something doesn't quite. And so that was it. He's like, nope, she's mine. He's laughing, saying that if there had been a divorce, he would have taken you. He's also letting me know, Sarah, who around you has had I would say recently, but to me recently, when you're talking to spirits. So in the last year, a miscarriage.
Well, I don't know. No one that I'm aware of. But I can't see them really sharing that with me. Don't have
My,
anyone close enough.
my
That's,
sister did.
yeah,
Your sister
fine.
did, Alicia?
Yeah,
Okay.
she had two.
Okay, so right now I'm glad she popped up and said that because I have these two spirits right here. Now you think that spirits are going to be very solid. No, they're energetic. So now what I'm doing is I'm just telling Alicia's grandfather to please scoot over and stay out of this reading. But he also told me something about his personality because he did that. So this tells me Alicia's grandfather is not used to waiting. He's used to people listening to him and not telling him to wait.
Yep.
He's just said so much about his personality. But as I did tell him, I said, "No, dude, it's not your turn. Scoot over." He did obey. He did scoot over. He's like, "Okay, okay." Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Grandpa. And now up pops. Now, Sarah, you're still married to his grandson?
Yeah, technically, we're in divorce proceedings now.
Yes, 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 yes. I was hoping I was wrong. This gentleman is talking about it does take two to tango. It always takes two for a relationship to fail. But he's really laying the ownership of the debacle at his grandson's feet.
That sounds like him, something he'd do. He likes to put responsibility and ownership on where
It belongs.
it belongs. Yeah.
He's like, and he is admitting, he said, I'm not saying I don't love that boy, but I am saying he screwed up. You know, what I'm doing when I was quiet, so what I like for spirits to do, and they don't always do this, is they give me a problem and I say, okay, now how can we fix it? Because I'm a fixer. It can't be fixed. And that makes me very sad. And why it makes me sad is because this gentleman is showing me that y'all had just a beautiful love connection, that that y'all still love each other. But he is admitting his grandson's behavior cannot be tolerated.
Yeah, and I'm not going back.
No, as you shouldn't. Because and this must have happened because he's saying if his grandson said he was going to change, he wouldn't be able to maintain that change. He'd be able to do it for, I'm seeing a max of 3 weeks, and then he would revert back to his old behavior.
Yeah, that resonates. It's been over 16 years with him.
And so you've constantly had this back and forth, back and forth. You look so young. You don't look like you are old enough to have done anything for 16 years.
Well, we started dating at 18 and I'm 35.
Yeah, look at. And you have babies?
No, thank God.
Who is the little girl that's around you that you're very close to?
My niece.
So how do I know that is because he showed me Sarah with a little, whether she's little or not, it was my representation of a little girl, so I knew that she was a generation lower. And I just felt that strong love connection. And so I assumed it was a daughter. And when she said no, this is another one of those times a no could set you back. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm wrong. What am I going to do? Nope, I am definitely seeing a little girl around her. So then I just like, okay, I'm seeing this little girl. Who is she? Because you love her like your own.
I miss my niece and nephew a lot. They're 5.
Yes, 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 yes. He is telling you to go back to school and it might not be college, but there's something that you want to learn, a new skill you want to learn, and he's saying to do that.
Well,
he's looking at the money, and it's not a lot of money, but you're not used to investing into yourself for things that you just want to do. And he's saying the time to do that is now.
okay.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pops. All right. Okay, come on, Grandpa. Okay, Alicia, are you still here? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yep, I'm still here.
Very good. So now a lot of you might think whenever this gentleman interrupted me that he was being like rude or, oh my goodness, he's still being rude in spirit, even though he wasn't. He was showing me his personality. So, because the second I said, can we step back? I want to talk to, Alicia, stepped back. He was just showing me his personality to further confirm of who he was. Now, your sister has had, you said 2 miscarriages?
Yep, within the last year.
Has she been to the doctor?
She went to the hospital when she was miscarrying, but nothing more than that.
So this is something that we do talk a little bit about because he's given, and this is pretty advanced. This is probably not something we would get into. I will be honest with you, an intro. It is not. Because this gentleman is showing me something pretty serious. I can imagine your sister's heartbroken and she's wondering why.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why. So I'm asking Spirit. Something about her hormones.
Okay.
He is definitely showing me her body has the ability to hold the baby,
Hmm.
but I'm not quite sure what it is. But he showed me her popping a pill, like not in a bad way, but
Right.
if she takes this medication, then she will be okay.
Okay.
But she does need to be monitored.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Um, okay, so now for you, Alicia, he's showing me the Tower card, which just is a representation for like your world. Someone's jerked the rug out from under you. Your
Yeah.
world was one.
I'm also going through a divorce.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. The difference here is it was more shocking to you.
Yeah, it was.
Like Sarah felt it coming. Not that it's any less, I'm not, just so Sarah knows and everyone else here, I'm not saying that it wasn't heartbreaking and something to grieve about, but there's a difference in the feel of it. Like there's a melancholy to Sarah, like she's heartbroken, but she knew. Here we go. For you, Sarah, I feel like I was slapped in the face. And not literally, but I'm like what happened here? What happened? And it's like he turned out to be someone you never dreamed that he was.
Exactly.
And that's what your grandfather's. Now, how do I know that? Her grandfather's making me feel that. I got out of that clairsentiently. He is showing me what a good job you were doing of putting the pieces back together, even though you don't think so.
Yeah. Hard.
It is hard, but you do what you do best, he is saying, is you picked yourself up by the bootstraps and you kept going. He is saying what he loves about the attitude in which you are going through this is you instantly started healing yourself when you could breathe again. I mean, it takes a while whenever something like this happens to breathe again, but when you could start breathing again, you instantly started looking on not just how you can make your life better in a physicality, like money and house and all of that, but how can I start healing myself? What is the most efficient way to start healing myself? And he was very proud of that. He's also showing me, let's go, hold on. Okay, so now what y'all just saw was, I forgot. Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to be explaining this. I'm so used to just doing it. And I was like, okay, what? The entire time I've been reading Alicia, I've been feeling like this push, push, push from the spirit. And I was like, what the hell are y'all doing? There was a spirit behind him. Did you feel that spirit, Dee? I saw Dee do this. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's called double linking. It's something we learn, but that we don't learn that until advanced double linking. Um, okay, so now in full disclosure, I have read Alicia before. She's from my area, and I have done a small group at a house. I don't even remember who it was because you think I'm going to remember everyone. I don't. I must have done this small group several years ago. Y'all can imagine how many people I've read since then. But what the spirit dropped in Alicia, and I don't know if you remember this, but because all he is showing me is I'm at a small group, there's a bunch of people, but he shows me your face.
Okay.
And so I'm reading y'all, and all of a sudden I'm turning and I'm headed towards a bookshelf, and I ask what this is.
Yeah, it was my brother's ashes. It was a globe. Yeah, I was at my grandma's house.
Okay, very good.
So yeah, that'd be my brother.
Okay. Did not remember you had a brother in spirit, so I want to apologize for that. I did not remember that. You
That's
think I
okay.
would remember that? And
No.
he said, yes, I am pretty unforgettable. So which says something about his personality.
Mhm.
And so I told him, I was like, could you not have given me that in a different way, like an easier way? He's like, that was fun. which says so much about his personality. Now, your brother steps up with a more protectiveness than your grandfather, and he's saying, "You want me to kick his ass? I'll kick his ass. You want me to kick his ass?"
Yeah.
Which tells me your brother would have been very protective.
Yeah. He was very protective.
Hmm. Um, I'm sorry, I was having a side conversation with Spirit. I was like, "How are you going to kick his ass?" He said, "I can do things from over here." I said, "No, you can't. You're not supposed to do that. Don't do that. You're not supposed to do that from over there. You're love and light." So he said, and then he got serious and he said, "You got this, sis. You got this." And he is envisioning, I'm not sure if you're there yet, Alicia, but you will be there later. Sometimes when you're going through something, you don't realize how unhappy you were before. But on the other side of it, when you start healing and you find your true happiness, you will realize that in that marriage, you weren't as happy as you thought you were, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're there yet, and I know that's very hard to understand, especially when you're going through a huge grieving and hurt process, because you're like, well, hell, that was better than what it is now, so I'll take it back. But sometimes we have to, be here before we can get to the other side. Also, your brother, real quick, I was about to close him down. He says he's the one who made the pen fall on the floor. Have you noticed a pen? Like, have you had a pen that kept falling on the floor?
Yeah. I have a few throughout the house, and all of a sudden they're just randomly on the floor.
Very good. Okay. For those of you who are new to this, that's just how the spirit shows that he's around her. Right. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to close this time down with questions. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Um,
I'm sorry,
you,
Barb. Barb, were you taking notes?
yeah,
Jeez, I see her looking down like she was like, okay, I have notes here and I want answers.
well, there's a couple of just questions. Um, can you read your own family?
Yes, absolutely. Now, is it difficult? Yeah, because this is what I was talking about earlier is you have skin in the game. And so when my girlfriend asked me a question, it was in relation to her. I love her. She's one of my great friends. So I really had to sit back and do a little technique I do to get my ego out of the way. So I was coming at the information from a point of neutrality instead of a point of I want the best for my friend.
Hmm. Another question.
Mhm.
How do you know that it's not your own thoughts that you're reading, or how do you distinguish your thoughts
Yeah,
to the
yeah, yeah,
spirit?
yeah. That is legit. It is practice. I will tell you, bottom line, it's practice. Are there techniques in which we go through to help people understand that? Yes. But bottom line, it's practice. And it comes down to a couple of different things. First of all, when you know your ego is about to be in, the best thing you can do is get to know yourself because then you can feel when your ego comes in. You can feel it. And like when my girlfriend asked me that question this morning, I could feel my ego. I was like, oh, wait, oh, okay. And so there's a couple of techniques. And then the vibration of the information coming through is different. When information comes from spirit, it is really very neutral. It's just data. It's when we put it through our worldview that it becomes emotionally charged.
Okay.
And is that it? That was it, Barb?
Well, that was it. And you Visa. I don't know if you remember she is sitting up here and not moving but watching you. It's really weird.
How she likes me.
Yeah. Do you like her? Yeah. Because you told me when you were here that she was her tooth wasn't,
Right.
and
Yep.
I put her back on medication, so hopefully that's helping out. So, but that's kind of weird.
Okay, so now when she said that, Barb is local. I did a small group at her house a while back, and I read that dog just because the dog wouldn't leave me alone. So I was like, okay, this dog wants something. I was talking about its tooth. So that is probably why she was there because I wasn't paying attention. You have all your people. I was about to go into more of the questions. So I was asking when she said that about the tooth, I was like, oh, the dog was saying thank you. Tooth's feeling better. All right. What other questions do we have?
I want to say something I want to add to your classes that you haven't mentioned. That's not always clairvoyant. There's a lot of people in Christy's classes that do health, and they can go through the body and know exactly what's wrong. There's also the being able to talk to animals, which is just phenomenal. And some people see things or hear or feel, and it's amazing how everybody's so different, but they get the job done. And I wouldn't say you have to be a medium for public, like she does, like Christy does, but it sure does help life. So it's just on an everyday life. And also Alicia is asking in the chat, can you share the recording? And I'd like to have that too.
Yeah, I'll put it out I'll put it out publicly, probably on YouTube. Yes, Miss Tina. You
Well,
want
my question is a language. So I'm Asian. So if that if a family member don't speak English, can you how do you read it? Can you read it? How do you feel
Yes.
about that?
Yes. Yes. So the only issue is when I'm reading someone from another language is some of their cultural references, and when they show me pictures of food clairvoyantly, I won't know what they are. So whenever you get, let's just say, Tina, they were talking to me, I was talking about clairsentience, feelings. Feelings are universal. So someone will step up and I'll be like, oh, I have a grandmother here. Like as I'm tapping into you, I have a grandmother here, and she is talking a mile a minute. She's a short little thing, like she's short and tiny. And I'm not feeling her clothes were very matchy. Like that wasn't important to her. And so this is just, and she's clearly letting me know that she was from another country. And she is showing me rolling things up, like roll whatever this is that she's in the kitchen, she's rolling it up, rolling it up. And people didn't mess with this lady. Like she was small but mighty. I wouldn't have messed with her. So that's how you get information from other cultures is it's not like they're not speaking to me. They're communicating energetically. They're showing me pictures. I'm feeling things. They are having me smell things. They're just giving me a knowing. I've read a lot of, especially because right here in Omaha, well, I live south of Omaha, and South Omaha has a lot of a big Hispanic people. So I will have people come and they'll bring a translator with them. Like some of my clients won't even speak English. They'll bring someone in their family who speaks English, and then they will translate. All right, any other questions?
Sarah has
Yeah. When reading, can you request a specific person or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So when you roll into a one-on-one reading with me, this is my spiel. When you show up, let go of who you think might step up. Just because you are not connected to someone on earth doesn't mean once they pass, you're not connected. And let go of how they might present. Everyone thinks they know what their grandmother is going to talk about, but if your only evidence you're going to take from your grandmother is her talking about that little teapot, you may be disappointed. I will give evidence. I'm just asking you to open up and really think about who that evidence is pointing to. Also, I will stop the reading I will ask you before the reading is over to make sure who you really wanted to talk to has stepped up. If that person hasn't stepped up and you have to request them, blame me. I just go over to the heaven and start grabbing people. If I don't grab who you are really here to see, that is my fault. Your people are around you. They love you. No one gets lost going home. And when you die, you go home. So that's my spiel whenever you come to me one-on-one.
Thank you.
And then when people do request, do I have people requesting? Absolutely. And then you give evidence. Like you can't just say, if you're reading someone, oh, I want my dad. I'm like, oh yeah, your dad's right here. And he says, da, da, da. No, I would say I have a dad energy. He is showing me this and this and this and this. And I give the evidence to make sure I have the spirit that you requested. Thank you, Tanya. I knew a lot of people were on lunch break. Tanya just says, on lunch break, I have to go. All right, any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes,
How do you
ma'am.
get out of your own way? Because I get things, I get feelings. Sometimes I just know things, and when I know things, all of a sudden it'll shock me and I'll go, wait, I'm not doing this, right? How do you stop that from happening?
This is a lot like the question Barb was asking, like, how do you know it's not yourself talking to yourself? It takes practice. And there are some tricks of the trade that we run through of how to get your ego out of the way, some things that you can do. It comes back to um, vibration. Spirit information comes really quick until you learn to slow it down. You have to learn to slow it down. Where do you get more info? On the for this class, the Intro to Mediumship class, it's on my website under classes, Christy Godwin Psychic Medium under classes, and then you register. So sometimes I myself I will tell spirit, slow down. Like I won't say it out loud, but in my head, I'll be like, oh, slow down, because it would just be coming at me so fast. Thank you, Misty. I appreciate you. So it's learning to slow it down and then making sure you're getting the information and acknowledging it before it goes through your filter. We all have a worldview. No one looks at this world in a completely neutral manner. So, I'll make it real quick. I had a late mom come to me. I didn't know. I brought up her son. Let's just start. I brought up her son, all this identifying information. Yeah, it's her son. And then I was like, he is saying the timing was right. You did the right thing. She started crying. What had happened? She'd gone to another medium, and this poor mom had to pull the plug on her son. He was in ICU, and she had to make that decision. So that was what it was referencing. He was saying the time was right. I wasn't going to recover, blah, blah, blah. This other medium had told her the second she tapped into the sun, she says, oh, he's mad at you. He would have recovered. He would have been fine if you hadn't pulled the plug. So that tells me this medium had a worldview, like there was some kind of trauma in her past that had changed her worldview that she got that information from. So that's how everyone has a worldview. It's learning what yours is and recognizing the energy of it when it's activated. Information from spirit comes through very neutrally. It's data. If it's emotionally charged, you're emotionally charging it. And do I feel emotionally charged sometimes? Yeah. Intro, sorry. Oh, Dee's correcting it. Yeah, I mean, I will bring through not very often, every once in a while. I think like a serial killer, I got pretty emotionally charged when I was reading him. But even your classic murderer doesn't usually emotionally charge me. People that are purposely mean, like it used to in the beginning, like, how could you have done that? Help me understand. I don't still. All right, any other questions? All right, so a little bit about the class. It is on my website, Christy Godwin Psychic Medium, under Intro to Mediumship. The classes are recorded, so if you ever miss one, they're recorded. Also, after each week, like the week in between we meet, I do send you home with homework that you can do or not do. You can put as much into the class or as little. And this is not one of the college classes I taught. I do not care. I do assign partners so that you can practice with someone in the class. If you don't want a partner, you just tell me, like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I just want to sit in the class and get what I can get. I'm good with that. I just ask you to tell me so that when I assign you a partner, your partner might be excited to practice. And so we want to make sure that I put them with someone who can practice. Because it's hard, it's one thing to look at the list and just pick someone to practice with. It's one thing if you're like, oh, Zenja's assigned to Sarah, and they know that's who they're practicing with that week. And it also builds a lot of connections. I know some of my students who are still connected to each other. Are you still connected to some of the students you were in class with? Mm-hmm. They still communicate, like once they'll exchange numbers or whatever. All right, any other questions?
Thank you so much. It was very informative. You're great at what you do.
Thank you, Miss Jen. I hope to see you in the class.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Christy.
Thank you. All right. Y'all have a wonderful, what is today, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all have a wonderful
Christy,
Wednesday. Yes.
sorry, also
No.
with Christy. Could I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Sorry, with a minute left.
No,
But
you're
have you
good.
ever worked who with like aphantasia or they can't visualize, and does that mess with your intro to mediumship?
It doesn't.
Like
Then
if
you
you
just
close your eyes, you
you
can't
just lean into your other clairs.
see. Okay,
I don't know if you were, oh, I don't know if you were here in the beginning. I think you came in a little bit later when I was
yeah, sorry.
talking about, no, I didn't want to repeat myself. And you were like, yeah, I heard that. So there's so many different clairs and I will go through classes where I say, okay, I want a spirit and I'm going to give you an entire reading on nothing but clairsentience. You can give full rounded readings on just clairsentience or just clairaudience or just claircognizance. You don't have to use all the clairs.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Of course. And just so you know, if you have a clair that you feel like, and I know this makes people mad, I get it. Because you're like, it's like when someone has something that is really gifted at something, you're like, I want to do that. Why can't I do that? So let's just say D is crazy clairvoyant. And you see her describe something in great detail, and you're like, well, damn it, I want to do that. Why can't I do that? But if you think about it, then one of your other clairs is going to be crazy strong. Also, it's just not going to be clairvoyance. It's going to be the reason I keep saying clairsentience because I just tapped into Christy, the one who was just talking, not this Christy. She's crazy clairsentience. So then we would work with her on how, when you're feeling this information, do you not take it on? It's because when you're crazy clairsentience, like the other Christy is, you're going to feel things. So then how do you feel them and not taken on? How do you help us? Well, the first thing we do right now, you can actually go to my website under Christy Godwin Psychic Medium, the classes section, go all the way down to that page, and there is a test that you can take that tells you your strongest clair. I also send that test out. It's like a test. It's 3 questions, I think, or I don't know. It might be more. Anyway, you just answer these questions and it tells you what your strongest clair is. It must be more than 3. I don't remember how many. It's been a long time since I made that test up. If you're able to hear and see, how do you know which one is stronger? It doesn't matter. If you have them that are equally the same, then the spirit will use the one that is easiest for them to use. So let's just say you're crazy, you are very clairvoyant, and you are very clairaudient. Someone steps up, like me. I am a public speaker. I have spoken in front of, I don't care. I'll get on stage in front of 100 people. Let's go. So I'm going to use the crap out of your clairaudience. If it's available to me and you're good at using it, I'm going to be rattling your ear off. So let's just say you have someone who is, they were kind of quiet. They didn't really talk much. And they come to you, and I'm talking about the spirits, not your clients. I'm talking about the spirits. You work for a spirit. The client may have paid you. The client may be in front of you. You work for spirit. The spirit steps up and they didn't really talk much. They were really quiet. They're going to be dropping in a lot of pictures. Now, let's just say you're not clairvoyant and you can't see, and the spirit was quiet. They will use your clairaudience. They will use what is available to them, but the spirit is also going to take the path of least resistance, just like we do. If the way they communicate is available to them, they're going to use it. If not, they're going to go to a different route because they can. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions? All right. I want to thank y'all for showing up today. I appreciate y'all. I will put this out on probably YouTube. It will be I'm about to head. I have a full day, so it won't be out there in the next couple of hours. That's for sure. But I hope to see y'all in the class. It starts next Tuesday night, so I hope to see y'all there. All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Of course.